Hello, fellow coders. It's me, the Web3 Idiot. Welcome back to our next episode on JavaScript arrays. This is episode number 5 in our series on JavaScript arrays. In episode 1, we talked about various different methods that we could call on JavaScript arrays, and episodes 2, 3, and 4, we tackled some problems that we could utilize some of these methods. Today, we are continuing on with a slightly more difficult problem, and that problem is to find the second largest number in an array. So what exactly does that mean? Let's say we are given the array of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so we need to find the second largest number in this array. So we have 1 is our current largest, 2 is our current largest, 1 is our second largest at this point, 3 is our largest, 2 is our second largest, 4 is our largest, 3 is our second largest, and 5 is our largest. So 4 would be our second largest. So we would output the number 4. But our data will not be nice to us, all right? Our data will be a little bit trickier, to the point where we do not know the order of our data. So the idea would be that we need to take in this information and we would output this 9 here. So 10 is our largest number and 9 would be our second largest. But let's go even further. We have, let's throw in a bunch of 10s. Here's an issue. So we have more than one 10 in here. So we have 10 as our largest number. 10 would not be our second largest number. So we need to ignore those two and just go back to this 9 and output a 9. So we'll be looking at various versions of approaches. I came up with 2. There's a third one, but that's a bit more advanced that we won't be able to get into today. But we'll take on some simple approaches. So our first approach would be actually to just sort it. So we sort this, and then we would need to be able to return the second largest number. Now this only works if there are no duplicates. Because it would be a little bit difficult to sort it and then get this number, and we'd have to loop through until we reached the 9. Our next option would be to use a for loop, in which case we have with 2 variables, which would be max and second max, or largest and second largest, and we loop through and we update the 2 variables as we move forward. So let's take a look here. Sort. We need to have no duplicates in order to really, utilize this without adding another loop into it. But if there are no duplicates, this would probably be the easiest method of implementing a solution to this question. But here's the problem. For number 1, our time complexity will be a little bit tricky because as happens with a sort algorithm, you will always have O in log n of your time complexity. And your space complexity, that would just be O of 1 because we're not creating anything new. We're just taking the array we're given, sorting it, and then outputting a value. Now, if you cannot modify the array you're given, it would be O of n because we have to create a copy. And in some interviews and some problems may specify that you cannot modify the original array. So let's see, number 9, line 9, number 2, for loop. Number 2, when we do loops, that is always O of n. So that's about it. And over here, Number 2, we have 2 variables that we are creating. So that'd be O of 2, but we always just round down. So it would be O of 1 as well. So these two would have the same space complexity. So just based on these alone, because of the same space complexity, and the for loop has a better time complexity, this would be the best method out of these two of finding the second largest number. If you want to find the most advanced and best version, you would use a heap, but this is a more of an entry-level basics focus of JavaScript arrays. So if you want a more advanced version, go on YouTube, search in for a video on heaps, and I'm sure someone else will explain it better than I can. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So we're going to go ahead with the sort method, and for this problem only, we will make the assumption that there are no duplicates. So we'll get rid of these 10s here, and we'd only be given unique numbers, or a set of numbers in the array. So let's go ahead and write this function out. Function, and we'll call it find second largest, and we'll call it sort, and we'll pass in array. Now the easy part here is this array dot sort, and we'll do, remember, a b arrow function, where a minus b. The idea here being that a will always be less than b. If you want to go the other way, you can do b minus a. In that case, we just return array of 1, but we'll go this way, a minus b. And here we say return array at position array dot length minus 1, but it wouldn't be minus 1, it'd be minus 2. Minus 1 would be the last element, and minus 2 would be the second to last element. And remember, we cannot do this if there are duplicates, because there's a chance that you would just get the same number that you return as the max and the second largest max. Okay, so let's actually do a descending order and make it easy. And all we would do would be return array at position 1, which would be the second position. So this is 0 indexed, so the second position is actually index 1. And let's go ahead and console.log, and we'll say find second largest sort, and we will pass in the array of 7, 3, 2, 9, 10, and 8. And remember, up here we are expecting an output of 9. So over here we should see a 9. Let's run it, and we see a 9. So basically what this does is it is converting the array to 10, 9, 8, 7, 3, 2. And it is outputting the array at index 1. So this is index 0, index 1, and this 9 gets outputted over here. Again, if it is not a unique set of numbers, if we have another 10 in here, the issue would be that we get another 10, and we get 10 out here. So this only works as is if the array has unique numbers, or a unique set of numbers inside of it. Another way that you could do it if there are duplicates is you would go with another for loop, and the idea would be that you have a variable called max, and then you keep moving the index over. For example, we'll just keep moving along with this. Let's say index is currently at 0, so and our max is 10. So we look at index to the left, we look at index 1, say it's a 10, is it the same as this max? It is, so we gotta move over again. We look at this 9, index is updated. the max is not equal to this position, so we output the array at index 2. But that is a bit more coding, so this would be the easiest way of solving this problem if we make the assumption that you will receive a unique set of numbers. All right, and for our second implementation, which is our for loop, this is, I guess, the best way of doing it without moving on to advanced data structures like a heap. So we'll do this one, function find second largest, and we'll call it a loop. We'll pass in an array. All right, so here we'll have two variables, right? We have a variable called second largest, and we'll call that, remember, we take our maximum lowest number, which would be negative infinity, and here we have let second, I guess we call it largest, right? Let largest equal also negative infinity. All right, and what we do is we do a for loop, and because we are just looking at the numbers, we don't care about the index, so we don't need to do let I equal 0. We could do it that way, but we'll go ahead and do for const num of array. You can do it that way. Another way you could do it would be for let I equal 0, I is less than array.length, plus plus, and then you just move along through the array. You could do it that way, but we're going to go ahead and stick with this method. We'll go with if, we'll go with num is greater than largest. Then what we do is we will say largest is equal to num. Actually, what we want to do first is update the second largest. We say second largest is equal to largest, and we'll say largest is now equal to num. That is 1. And we also need to do another check in case this num is not larger than largest. We also have to check if it is larger than second largest. So if num is not equal to largest, I guess not greater than or equal to largest, because we need to account for duplicates, and num is larger than second largest, then what we need to do is we need to set second largest to be this number. So this here accounts for anything larger than largest because it gets caught up here, and equal to, so we do not get a duplicate of largest. And num is larger than second largest, so this is accounting for example, we come up here, let's say I call this 8, call this 9. So 8 is our largest, and then 10 becomes our largest, so this becomes our second largest. We need to update the second largest when we get to this 9, even though it doesn't isn't larger than this 10. So we say if num is greater than or equal to largest and num is greater than second largest, we say second largest is equal to num. And finally, what we do is come down here and we return second largest. And this will handle duplicates. So we'll do console.log. We'll do find second largest loop. And inside we will pass the array of, what is it, 7, 3, 2, 8, 10, and 9. That is off screen, sorry about that. And what we are expecting when we run this will be to output the number 9 over here. So let's just run through it real quick. We'll pass in these numbers. We'll say 7, all right. Let's see. So we say 7 of array. It is larger than the largest. It is larger than negative infinity. So we say largest is now 7. Second largest becomes largest, so it stays at negative infinity. And then now that 7 has become largest, it does not. Oh, sorry. And, oh, sorry. It is less than. My goodness. If number is less than largest, so we need to make sure it is less than largest, and num is greater than second largest, then we update it. I made a mistake here. Sorry about that. That is why we walk through our code again before we do anything stupid. You know, we've got to make sure our numbers still work. And then, so 7 is now largest, second largest is negative infinity. We move on to the number 3. We check if number 3 is larger than 7. It is not. Then we move down here. Is it less than largest? Yes, it is less than largest. Is it larger than negative infinity? Yes, it is. So now second largest is 3. And it would go on and on and on. And hopefully we will output the number 9 over here. Let's run it. We do get the number 9. Now, remember what is special about this is I can put in as many 10s as I want, and we will not output a 10 the same way that this simpler function did, because we are handling our duplicates with these calls here. And let's go. We will get 9 again, so that's very good. Yeah. So those are 2 ways of solving this problem. If you want to find the more advanced way, go do some research on heaps. If not, these are 2 simple ways. So when would you use this one? You would use number 8 when your data set is small and you know that you have an array of unique numbers. And when would you use this? Pretty much every time. This would be, this is better in all cases compared to the sort. So just go ahead and focus on the for loop. And remember to check your work, go over it again, walk through your code with your examples, and you'll be able to find mistakes just like I did before you run your code. Anyways, thank you so much. I hope you learned a bit. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. I just want to help people out. Have a good day.